Is 20 minutes long enough for you to get in a good workout? A lot of times people feel like they need 30, 45, or even 60 minutes to get in a good workout. Or if they are going to work out for shorter, they do things that actually make them more vulnerable for injury. So how can you get a really good workout in without increasing your risk for injury? That's exactly what we're going to explore on this week's episode of the Exercise is Health podcast. We're going to cue our introduction and then we're going to dive right into this conversation. Hey, welcome back, exercisers, to the Exercise is Health podcast, brought to you by Exercise for Life Studios, where we believe that your health is your most valuable asset. And the single best thing that you can do to both boost and protect this asset is exercise. Specifically, exercise is geared towards building the health and function of your muscles. We're your hosts, Charlie
and Julie.
And today we're exploring this idea of how long does it really take to get a good workout, and how do you need to go about doing your workouts to make sure you're not setting yourself up for injury. See, a lot of times when we think about trying to exercise for shorter periods of time, we actually use strategies and tactics that make us more vulnerable to feeling achy, feeling beat up, feeling sore, or even injuring ourselves. But there are some things that you can do to not have to worry about that at all. And that's exactly what we're going to discuss with you today. But before we do, we have an ask for you.
Did you know that the number one best way that you can support us here in this podcast, in this free podcast that we're hoping you get tons of benefit from, is to leave us a rating and review? A lot of people don't realize that, but if you wouldn't mind taking a minute or two to scroll to the bottom of Apple iTunes and leave us that rating review, it helps us more than you can ever imagine. Also, this coming week on August 27th, we are kicking off the first One Workout Away challenge for season 4. Can you believe we're on season 4?
Season 4.
I almost thought it was season 5, but we are here on season 4. We are jazzed about it. If you aren't familiar with this, what we do is 5 times throughout each season, starts in the fall, ends in the spring, we do an accountability group. We have so many podcast listeners here that love hearing our content, but they want a little bit more hands-on work. They want more accountability too. So they want to be in this group with us. So we are starting our next group, and it's the first of season 4, called Full Body Focus. We're going to be teaching you how exactly, and doing it with you, how exactly to work out within 20-25 minutes, getting your weight training, make sure you're safe. We're going to be working the full body. We're also going to be adding in some cardio circuits. We know our followers love when we add in that stuff. So make sure that you go to www.exerciseforlifestudios.com/OWA to get signed up, and make sure you reserve your spot in the group coming up.
So Julie, I have a question for you.
Okay.
When you were in high school, how long did your workouts last?
2 hours.
Minimum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like at least
2 hours.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
How about you?
Yeah. I mean, there were days where it'd be like, oh yeah, I worked out for 5 hours today.
Yep.
5 hours, in college, like basketball practice was, like a short basketball practice was 90 minutes.
Yeah.
The vast majority of the time it was 2.5, sometimes even 4 hours long,
Yes.
4.5 hours long, like basketball practice would go. And so that was my frame of, all right, well, this is just how long workouts last. To think that, my workout's going to take an hour, it's like, what in the world can I possibly get done in an hour? What is this, an off day? And then for it to last anything less than an hour, it was almost like, well, what's the point? Like,
right.
That's where my mindset was at. And I think a lot of people feel that way. And even if, even think about this. Whether you played high school sports or not, you likely did gym class at some point, right? Elementary school, middle school, high school. Gym class lasts what? 45 minutes, 50 minutes. If
we had one that was an hour and a half.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. So now all of a sudden, that is your initial introduction to like, well, this is how long something's going to be. If you're going to go and play, youth sports, flag football or soccer or whatever, could you imagine as a parent being told, hey, we're going to have soccer practice. The practice is going to be 20 minutes. And you're going to be like, so I'm going to take 20 minutes to drive my kid there. 20 minutes there, and then 20, it's like, what's the point, right? And so I think that just from like the very get-go of our introduction to exercise, and then how we are told exercising should be, whether it's sports or gym class or just whatever, group fitness classes, 45 minutes to an hour, if you go to the gym or whatever, like our whole mindset around it is like, well, this should roughly take an hour.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to.
Yes.
It actually doesn't have to. In fact, I would say rarely am I working out for an hour at a time now these days.
Yeah.
Most of my workouts are much shorter than that. And so we will want to talk with you about that, because I think there is this idea that, well, in order to get a good workout in, it's going to have to be that 40, 45, 60 minutes at least. And while there can be benefit to, and there certainly are benefits to exercising that long, you don't have to exercise that long. In fact, you can get a good workout in working out for as little as 20 minutes, but how you do it matters.
Absolutely, Charlie. I remember even teaching, I got into the gym world via group fitness, and I taught a cycling class, and I always despised when they would assign me the 30-minute classes. I was like, what? No one's even going to work out.
Is anybody even going to sweat?
Is anyone even going to get work in? But it just teaches you, number one, a lot of our reference for exercising for health is from exercising for sports. And as we've talked about in many podcasts in the past, they're very different. And exercising for sport is incredibly inefficient. And they're exercising for a different outcome goal. A lot of us, as we grow up and we're realizing, okay, I don't really need to be very good at kicking a soccer ball anymore. I just need my heart to work well. I need my muscles and joints to work well. Is that we can really cut down on the time that we are exercising as long as we're still meeting some criteria. And knowing what the criteria is important, which is not like make sure you're doing it for a whole hour or 2 hours, or like for swimming, we used to do 2 hours twice a day, so 4 hours a day. Like that would be an incredibly inefficient workout. Mm-hmm. And thank goodness we can do it in much shorter time, because I don't even know where I would be able to exercise for like if I thought about a 2-hour workout now, I'd be like, can
you imagine if our whole pitch to everybody was every single day you have to work out for at least 2 hours?
2 hours minimum.
We were like, yeah, I'm tuning out.
Then
now.
You'll be healthy.
I'm done.
I know.
I'll just take the poor health over the 2 hours.
Yes. But honestly, we have been... we have had our membership open for coming up on a year now, been making workouts through the OWA for 4 years now. Mm-hmm. So what we have seen is that the 20-25 minute mark, which is what you'll see all of our workouts are in length, is and can be very potent as long as you're doing a couple things, which we're going to talk about today. But the time is not like a mandatory piece when it comes to exercise.
Absolutely. And so the challenge that a lot of people end up facing, even when you start to buy into this idea of 20 minutes, because there are places that will promote, hey, work out for 20 minutes and stuff. But the challenge with a lot of those places and a lot of those styles of workouts is the way they try to make it a quote unquote good workout is by really ramping up the intensity. Mm-hmm. It's going to be like, boot camp, high intensity intervals, just going as hard as you can, for those 20 minutes. And there are issues with that, obviously. Now, look, if your body can tolerate doing that, it can be very beneficial. Yeah. The problem is that most people that are jumping into those classes are not prepared to jump into those classes, and most people's body are not able to tolerate doing that on a consistent basis. Yeah. Right? Because there's a difference between doing that, say, like once a week and trying to do that 5 or 6 days a week.
Which is what they tell you to do.
Right, exactly. And so that's the issue here. And that's the issue. It's not that, doing high intensity workouts is bad. In fact, like I said, there's a lot of benefit that can come from it. It's not that, working out for 60 minutes is bad. Again, there's a lot of benefit that can come to it. But when the trade-off is, well, I'm going to reduce my time but increase my intensity and only do reduced time with increased intensity, that's where a lot of issues can come up in terms of like actually feeling pain while you're exercising, feeling sore during and after your workouts, feeling achy, beat up, feeling just lethargic throughout your rest of your day, or injuring yourself. And that is where we see the greatest risk for injury and the greatest occurrence of injury happening within the fitness industry are these boutique, higher intensity fitness classes where it's like, okay, yeah, it's going to be this 20, 30 minute class. Like you're going to get in, get it done. And then people are like, oh, that was awesome. The energy was great. I'm coming back tomorrow. And the next day, and 2 weeks later, they're like, yeah, I actually really hurt something in my hip. Like I can't do this anymore. And then that's a problem. If we're talking about trying to exercise for life, if we're talking about like trying to exercise for the duration of your life and exercise in a way that actually supports your life, that's a really big issue. So how can we go about changing this?
Yeah, so we're really having to change our view. I think there's a couple of steps. Changing our view to like saying, I'm not exercising for the next year to shed for the wedding. Mm-hmm. I'm exercising so that I can exercise until my last day, right? Like continuous exercise. So there can't ever be exercise that like throws you under the bus forever.
Right.
And I honestly have a client that happened to her. She was like, I've got 4 kids and these workouts need to be efficient. It's kind of nice that they're fun. And that means that because they're shorter, they have to amp it up. And so there's certain ways that we recommend that you amp it up. And it's not what we normally see in these high intensity 20-minute classes. A lot of times what we see people moving faster. We see people moving with less control. We see people lifting up heavier weights because it's way less reps if you're doing heavier weights. And what happens is that, again, it leads to a lot of soreness. It leads to a lot of injury, which is and because of the soreness and injury, a lot of people also want to tie that to then results. And although that's probably a really great way to burn a lot of calories in one time, it's also really a lot of challenge, negative challenge, stressful challenge on the muscles and the joints. And really, there's a much easier, straightforward, safer, feels better on your body way to increase the intensity, but it's not in that way of jumping faster, doing it quicker, cycling through quicker, turning off your brain, not listening to your body.
Right.
We can't be doing that. We have to switch it elsewhere. I also have a really interesting quote. One of my clients told me she comes to see me for MET, but she doesn't see me for training. And she had said, I really want to get stronger. But the unfortunate thing is that when you get intensity so that you can get stronger, you're getting closer and closer to the line of injury. And I thought, that is a common thought that a lot of people have. They're like, I want to go more intense, but I don't want to get injured. But when I go intense, that means I'm closer to being injured. It doesn't have to mean that. And we're going to break that down now because you can build your intensity, you can build your weights, you can build your strength without getting closer and closer and closer to the line of injury.
Absolutely. All right. So what is the thing that you should be ramping up if it's not the intensity over the 20 minutes? Again, you can increase the intensity so long as you are also increasing this one other thing. The thing is that most people increase their intensity in sacrifice of this one thing, and that's where the issues occur. And that one thing that you need to make sure that you are increasing the intensity of is your focus. Mm-hmm. You must increase your focus during your workouts while you're doing every single exercise. And then that is how you can get the intense portion of the 20 minutes to be able to really change and challenge your body without increasing your risk for injury. That is the difference maker.
This is reminding me of I was training one of my clients. She goes, Julie, you talk about exercise in a way like I've never heard someone talk about. Like, why are you telling me that my focus was on point and I have a beautiful rep and the control was amazing? Usually people are just rah-rahing me and making me go faster and playing more pump-up music. But it's so true. The biggest key, like that always has to increase, is your focus. And when you think about it, think about every gym that you've ever entered or an advertisement. They're always highlighting the distraction. Right? They're highlighting the loud trainers. They're highlighting your heart rate on the wall so that you're competing just to get in first place rather than to listen to your body or focus on your body. They're talking about the cool televisions that line the outside of the gym or the awesome. So they're always highlighting the distraction. They're never highlighting the focus. And when you increase your focus when you're exercising, you're going to notice immediately why everyone highlights the distraction. Reason being is that it's uncomfortable. Well, you know how like working out, there's a difference between pain, like discomfort of pain and discomfort of working out. Like working out has a sensation. A handful of people out there don't like that sensation, right? And so to get people over that workout contraction sensation, we want to increase distraction, right? Watch your Netflix show while you jog on the treadmill, yada, yada. It's not all bad, but when it's compromising your health, then it's bad because you're at the gym to improve your health, right? So increasing your focus, you'll immediately notice, and we'll talk about how to do this, but increasing your focus, you'll immediately realize why everyone prefers increasing distraction. But when you increase your focus, you're going to be able to, number one, work out in that shortened time, right? Because we're all busy. We all want 20-minute workouts. But also be able to increase the intensity without getting closer to that line or threshold of injury.
Absolutely. That's a huge thing. So what are we talking about when we're saying increased focus? Okay. what you should be focusing on, the only thing you should be thinking about while you're doing your exercise is squeezing your muscles. That's it. All right, you're not thinking about the reps. You're not thinking about the choreography. You're not thinking about, oh, this music is so awesome. I love this beat, or, these lyrics just pump me up, or anything like that, okay? Those thoughts should not be going through your mind. Now, the challenge is those thoughts will be infiltrating your mind. And so you have to do everything that you can to try to block those thoughts out and just stay locked in on squeezing your muscles. That's where your focus should be. This is so important, not only from a results perspective, building strength, building muscle, building fitness, but making sure that you're going to be able to recover better from your workouts, that you're not going to be achy or sore from your workouts, and greatly reducing the chance that you injure yourself during your workouts, because you're going to be much more in tune with what your body's telling you while you're working out. I use the analogy, it's like if you've ever sat down to watch a show and you put a bowl of popcorn in front of you, in 15 minutes into the show, you look down, you've eaten the entire bowl of popcorn. And the thought is like, what in the world just happened and why do I feel so lousy? And like that's because you are sitting there distracting yourself with the show as you're eating the popcorn, as opposed to like paying attention to every single kernel that you're eating. You may think, well, that's not going to be enjoyable, but that's not the point. The point is to get to the end and not feel lousy, to get to do this thing in a way that actually leaves you feeling better, and that doesn't feel like, oh, I'm going to, take hours or days to recover from this. And then you realize, actually, that becomes a lot more enjoyable than the after effects of distracting yourself the entire time. So when people exercise, it's like they're distracting themselves by watching the show, and then they get to the end of their workout and they're like, what just happened and why do I feel so lousy? When you're focused on your music or the reps or the choreography or the energy or the hype or everything like that, that is all a distraction from the one thing you should be focusing on, which is squeezing your muscles. The more you can focus on that muscle squeeze, the more you can lean in to the fact that you're really trying to challenge your muscles and feel your muscles work and feel that squeeze and feel that contraction the entire time you're doing the exercise. The much lower the chances are that you get to your end of your workout thinking to yourself, why do I feel so lousy and what just happened? Thinking, oh my gosh, did I injure myself? Thinking, oh gosh, I'm going to need days to recover from this. You're going to get to the end of your workout feeling connected, feeling stronger, feeling healthier, feeling more energized, feeling more mobile, feeling like, yeah, I can come back and do this again tomorrow, because how you exercised with that increased focus become way more appropriate for your body.
Okay, so should we put this into action? Let me give you an example of what this would look like. Okay, so you guys know what a bicep curl is. So you could go to the gym and say, I'm going to do bicep curls 10 reps until I'm done. So a lot of people would turn on their music, and again, this isn't to say you shouldn't listen to music. This just says that you still need to focus on your exercise. Anyway, so you turn on your music and you just start flinging the weights, because the goal is to get to 10, because that was the set out goal, or the instructor said we're going to get to 10. So you get to 10 no matter what, versus increasing your focus, saying, hey, our goal might be to get to 10, but we're going to really be focused on the muscle squeeze here. And what happens is that you're going to notice the intensity of your bicep curl just went up. There's going to be way less flinging, because you're going to be thinking about squeezing your biceps. And the best part about keeping your focus really high is that you're going to know when you're done whether you got to 10, under 10, or more than 10, right? Because at some point you're going to notice, oh, my body, I can't do this right anymore. I'm tapped out. My muscle is done. And that is actually the best way to know how many reps you should do, when your body tells you you're done. The reason a lot of us feel kind of sore and achy after we're done exercising is that we go in and we distract ourselves from the exercise. So for this example, you did 10 reps, whether it was flinging or not, and sometimes our body was done at 9 reps or 8 reps or 7 reps, but we don't know because you were flinging them. We wouldn't know. And so keeping that focus on the biceps of whatever muscle you're trying to activate or work, really focusing in on there, and your body's going to communicate a lot of things to you when you're doing that. And then you just listen to your body. When it's done and it can't do a normal rep, or you have to fling for the next rep, then you know it's done. So really keeping the focus high, you're going to immediately notice more activation in the muscle you're working. You're not going to feel achy and sore after you exercise unless you've flung something in some way. And what's really nice is for all of you people that hate feeling sore and achy the following day, you won't have to really feel that anymore, because the more that you're focused on your focus and your intention and contracting and tuning into your body, the less sore and achy you're going to feel, because you're going to notice the communication your body gives you faster. And when it's time to get the communication, rather than flinging through it and then getting the communication at the end, which is usually like, oh, I've overdone it.
Exactly. You know, one of our mentors, Tom Purvis, taught us this idea of like, stop counting reps and start making each rep count. All right, stop counting reps, start making each rep count. And one of the best ways to go about making sure each rep counts is really dialing in your focus during each rep. Focus on that muscle squeeze. Just have that be the thing that's going through your mind. Squeeze my muscles, squeeze my muscles, squeeze my muscles the entire time you're doing the reps. And then you won't have to worry, like you were saying, Julie, you won't have to worry about, oh, did I do 8 reps or did I do 10 reps or did I do 12 reps? It doesn't matter, okay? Because each rep that you did counted fully. Each rep that you did, you were able to extract the most from it that you could in order to progress you towards your goals in an appropriate way. And you're not going to have to go about your workouts thinking, okay, well, the way I need to make this more intense is to move faster. The way I need to make this more intense is to fling. The way I need to make this more intense is to do, as many reps as I can in as short a period of time as I can, okay? None of those things will matter. And you'll start seeing that way of exercising as, all right, maybe I can sprinkle it in every once in a while if I want something different, if I want something fun, but I know that I'll be able to tolerate doing it because I built up the strength of my body, because I built up the capabilities of my body to do it, because I spend so much time focusing during all of my other workouts. All right. And so that's really the big message that we want to bring home to you today is, yes, 20 minutes is more than enough time to get in a really great workout that builds your strength, that helps you build muscle, that helps you build your fitness and progresses your function so you can do what you want in life without having to worry about being achy, injured, sore, incapable of doing the things that you want. But how you go about doing that matters. Most times when people are thinking shorter workouts, they're thinking more intense in terms of speed, in terms of, in terms of little rest, in terms of, bouncing from one exercise to the next and just trying to fling the weight and, just trying to get the reps in, everything like that. That is a recipe for injury. That is a recipe for feeling lousy after your workout. That is a recipe for not being able to work out at all, because every time you do, you end up not feeling well after, okay? Instead of increasing the intensity and through speed and everything like that, focus on increasing the intensity through increasing your focus. Specifically, increase your focus on squeezing your muscles.
So if you're interested in doing some 20-minute workouts, following these principles, you want to try out, what does it mean when I turn on my brain, turn up my focus, turn on my intention and internal focus, and kind of lose all that extra stuff that comes with the normal 20-minute high intensity, high power, high injury type workouts? Then we want you to join us for our upcoming OWA that starts on August 27th. You have to sign up on August 26th. Like, that's the cutoff, because you can't sign up late, right? So like the night before at 12 a.m., you can't sign up anymore. So you can't be late. Sign up before the start date, which is Sunday, August 27th. We're going to be calling this one full body focus. So we're going to be blending all these concepts of what you need to be focusing on. This will be intense workouts. A lot of people listen to our podcast are like, well, does anyone ever get results? Because aren't they easy? You'll be shocked. They are very difficult. But remember, we have these principles because you can't have intensity and injury. That just leads to you not being able to exercise for the long term. We have to have intensity with intention and focus and control. And we're going to teach you how to do that in the upcoming OWA. It's a accountability Facebook group, 28 days long. We are going to educate you on how to keep your full body strong and worked, and make sure that you are not leaning towards that injury line. So make sure you join us. All you have to do is go to www.exerciseforlifestudios.com/OWA, and we can't wait to see you in the group.
So who do you know that needs to hear this episode? Who do you know that feels like, well, at a minimum, they have to work out for 60 minutes because, anything else is just not enough? Or if they are going to do a shorter workout, it has to be super, super intense from a speed and everything like that standpoint. Share this episode with them so they can understand that that not only can you get a really great workout in 20 minutes, but it doesn't have to be this hit AMRAP, 20 the fast as you can type of experience that ends up leaving you sore and injured. It can be an experience that leaves you feeling stronger, functioning better, and feeling healthier overall every single time you do it. And while you're online, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review. It helps people find our podcast when they're looking for information on exercise and they're looking for information on health. So if you found value in this conversation today, let us know by leaving us a 5-star rating and review. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We always appreciate it. Have a fantastic week, and we'll talk with you all next week.
Charlie, what's AMRAP?
As many reps as possible.
Oh,
as many reps as possible.
That sounds like it.
Yeah. This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Julie and Charlie Gates, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.